Hi, my name is Murthy. Today I am going to talk about tempo and related topics, and this content is purely for beginners. So what is a tempo means? By definition, speed rate they call as a tempo. To make it more ease, a group of musicians practicing, for example, any piece of a music or something with particular speed, if they felt consciously they wanted to play a little faster, then they use term like will play a little faster tempo or will play a little slower tempo, something like that. So tempo is basically a very relative word when they use something for speed. So before tempo, one must have to understand about very important word. Fundamentally, this is very important element in the music, that is called pulse. So what is pulse means? If someone practicing any piece or a music piece, when you are listening any recorded song, behind that there will be a constant beat goes like this with a very constant regular intervals. This you may not able to listen very evidently, but every piece of a music, any recorded song or something, it will be there in the behind. Or you can often observe musicians tap their feet like that, or a group of a symphony when playing, a conductor gives the pulse like that. This pulse is like something like a heartbeat for the music. So now I like to take one particular speed of a pulse, and I like to show one example, like I like to play one song and show. Now I am taking this particular speed of pulse, and now I am shifting this to my feet, same speed. You would have observed I'm maintaining this particular song along with the pulse. Now I like to make it little faster, this particular pulse rate. Slightly I am increasing the speed of the pulse here. Now same song I'll like to show. If you observe or not, it's slightly increased. The speed of the song is slightly increased. The same way, if I slow down so much, it impacts on the song speed drastically. So this particular pulse quality must have to be like very equal speed we have to maintain. That's very important. And if who can't maintain this particular pulse evenly, we can never call them as a musician. I personally can never call them as a musicians. But hold on, like most of the people, like out of 100 people, 95 to 99% of people have this pulse very naturally. For example, like when you're enjoying any song anywhere, like your feet moves along with that, or your body moves along with that, or you nods your head. So that's nothing but like a pulse. So one should improve this pulse very naturally. Now I like to talk about time signature. I wanted to start this with a different perspective. Like how generally we use kilometers or meters to measure the distances, or how we use inches or centimeters to measure the object lengths or whatever. Like that we can measure the musical pieces also. And this is not like a optional. If you want to be a musician, you must have to know how to do these measurements actually. These measurements only we call as a bars or measures itself. For these measurements, we have to use the pulse. Now I am taking one particular speed of pulse. If I wanted to give numbering for this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, then again 1, 2, 3, 4, like 2 sets, right? So each set we call as a one measure, and this measure I divided with the 4 counts. This only we call as a 4/4 time signature. And if we divided like a 3 and 3 kind of a sets, like a 3 counts per a measurement kind of, we can call as a 3/4 time signature. If it is a 3/4 time signature, something we can count like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. And to identify, to practice it, one of the best way of practice is like we need to give accent on the 1. Then it will be very easier to identify the time signature. When I am giving the accent only, someone can understand that yes, it is in 4/4 or it is in 3/4 when I am counting. Suppose when I am giving accent, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it is more evident, right? Like if I count 3/4 with the accent, it sounds completely different. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. And if any song, when you're practicing or you're listening any song, it must have to begin with a particular time signature and end with the same time signature. Yes, most of the song, like 99% of the songs what you're listening, will start with the same time signature, one time signature, and ends with the same time signature. And there are pieces, exceptional pieces, like, and they do some kind of experimentaries, like they do a different types of time signatures. But those are like a different type of a set pieces actually. And there are different types of time signatures, like a 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 6/8, 7/8, 12/8. And here one must have to understand the top numbers always tells you how many counts per a measure, and bottom number tells you the type of note receives as a 1 count. This is a little bit complex, and this is more about writing the score actually. The staff notation one wants to practice or writing songs on the scores, this will make a matter. And definitely I'll explain about this in my further videos more detailingly. This pulse and time signature one must have to adopt like a census. Yes, one must have to adopt this very naturally, and you cannot develop this just if you practice any songs or something like that, or any exercises just with your any instrument. One can develop this by listening n number of songs and practicing the tapping along with that. And you have to make it very natural. As I told you earlier, it should happen like that. Our body should be able to respond with the song and should be able to find the pulse. I know personally many people who can play the notes of the songs by listening, but their time signature sense or pulse sense will be very weak. Why? Because they would have not practiced enough of tapping with the songs, or observe how the time signature goes and how syncopation it is going, still have to maintain that. They would have not observed all that. And this pulse must have to be like very strong pulse, not like a weak pulse. Weak pulse means something like this. It looks like even, right? No, it's not stiff and it's not even also. So now I'll show the strong pulse. So now it is very stiff and very even. So one must have to practice the strong pulse, not like a weak pulse. When you practicing strong pulse only, if song is like any syncopation, if it goes also, your pulse can make you very strong, and you may not able to confuse when someone is playing very syncopatedly anything. And here I like to show one song as an example, and beautiful song, one of my favorite song by Rahman sir, Jia Jale Ja Jale song, and I like to show how like I'll find the pulse in this and time signature. So here rhythm is not yet started. So rhythm is started here. So this is how the pulse going with that. Now I like to give the accent with this. I have to find the accent on this to find where is the 1 to find the time signature. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. So you would have understand now, like, so first we need to identify the pulse, how the pulse is going behind, and you would have not definitely listened that pulse in the song recording, but we need to find it very naturally. And the next thing will be finding the accent. When you're finding accent only, we can identify the time signature. And the reason I chose this song is there is a part in this song, very beautiful part, an instrumentation part, and Rahman sir done something very syncopatedly. But for advanced players or advanced musicians, this is not such a syncopation, but for beginners perspective I'm talking. And if your pulse is not strong enough, you may not able to definitely along with that song when you're tapping. So from here, I like to show the tapping here, and you can observe how syncopated it goes. You would have observed some of the bars, how syncopated it is going. If your pulse is not very strong, you may feel that that song can throw away you from the pulsing actually. So that's why one must have to practice the strong pulse, not like a very weak pulse. And if you wanted to check your pulse level, you can take this song as an example. And my suggestion is, don't try to take from this part of the piece. You can practice from the beginning of the song, try to pulse the beginning of the song, then you may feel little connectivity with the song. Or you can rewind this video and you can check yourself, you can pulse along with me. And if even you're feeling like, for example, you're not able to identify when you're practicing something, you are on pulse or not, or if you're not able to identify that you're in time signature or not, there is a thing you can use is metronome. So there are plenty of people would have explained about metronome. Basically that will give a physical clicks, and you can control the speed of the clicks, and it will be a mission perfect clicks, and you no need to wait for someone who can clap when you are practicing something. You can use the metronomes. So in metronomes you can keep any particular BPM speed. Basically BPM means beats per a minute. If I'm keeping a 90 beats per a minute, so if I'm increase the BPM, basically the tempo increases. If I'm decreasing the BPM, basically, so the tempo decreases. And we can control the time signature also. Now I played on the 4/4. You can keep 3/4 for example. You can see the accent 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 like that. And in beginner level, like most of the people may feel pressure when practicing the pulse, because the pulse will be in a perfect tempo and you may not able to connect with it properly. There'll be a plenty of reasons for that, and if you're not well enough with the notes also, particular positions also, you may feel discomfort. And you no need to take any song directly and practice with the metronome. That's what the many people do the mistake. You can take a simple exercises, you can take a simple scale and you can practice along with the metronome if you really confusing. For example, I'm keeping here 75 BPM, beats per minute, and 4/4 time signature. And I like to show a simple examples here. So I'm taking here right now the 4/4 time signature and C major, just an open C major scale I'm playing, and I'll just like to play along with the same speed. It sounds like this: 2, 3, 4. And then you can take the double speed for this. You can increase the double speed when with the same metronome speed. For example, like this. And you can practice more even double speed if you're comfortable. Something like that. And you can practice a different rhythmic structures also when metronome goes, something like this. So you can take any type of rhythmic stimulations and you can practice with the metronome. Like this, you can definitely improve your tempo skills. But my personal preference is try to generate this very naturally. Try to practice without metronomes, because in olden days we don't have a metronomes. Then how you would have practiced these kind of things. So you can just tap yourself, your comfortable moderate tempo you can keep, and you can practice along with that. And some of the common questions I get from beginners is it required to practice in the original tempo of the song, whatever recorded song or whatever? I can say not necessary. If it is a contemporary song or any film song, if you want to practice, you can take your own liberation. You can take any moderate tempo, however you are comfortable. But if you're practicing some kind of method musics, like if you're reading any scores, any staff notations or Western classical music or something, so the composers definitely write that particular tempo mark at the beginning. You can see this particular tempo mark, why they give is, if you're practicing in this particular tempo only, you may get that original emotion of how the composer wanted to be. For example, some dance pieces will be there, and if you dragging the tempo down, like you cannot even get that kind of emotion, something like that. And now I like to show some example, and we all know this song Chinni Chinni Aashai from Roja movie, and such a brilliant song. And this particular song Rahman sir used to show one girl's character as very peppiness in her the way how she lives and everything. And in that time he used a one particular tempo, something like this. So you can see some kind of happiness in this, right? Because I think I played in a similar tempo, not exact tempo we cannot find sometimes, but I played a similar tempo of the original. Now I'll drag down the tempo to the very down. Yes, Rahman sir done this in the same movie when the character, the main character of the movie, having a very sad situation, and he used the same tune in the RR, like BGM music with some flute, I guess, and it is such a beautifully, it's showing that emotion, something like this, like I think it must be like similar tempo. You would have observed that this is how sad it is. The main parameter change is tempo. So I drastically down the tempo, it directly impacting on the emotion of the piece. Yes, it will happen like that. And I'm not saying that is the only technique. We are using multiple techniques to make the more sad, but this is the first parameter actually, the tempo dragging. So you can also choose some songs like this, any songs, whatever you're practicing. You can try, you can experimenting the songs with the different tempos or with sounds or something like that you can do. And most of the pieces and piece of music, anyway, whatever you're listening, will be in a proper meter, like a pulse and time signature or that particular tempo maintenance. Yes, most of music of whatever you are listening, yes, but there is a concept called rubato. It is something like a free tempo, and it is not for actually beginners. If you would have seen like some of the musicians, they play some kind of improvised music before starting any piece of any piece of a music. Or in Indian music also there is a thing called swara kalpana. When they are improvising something in any particular raga or scale, they don't bother about the particular meter of pulse. This only they call as a rubato. And one should practice this after knowing well about pulse and time signatures. I don't suggest this just for beginners. For example, I'll take here one particular piece by Francisco Terrega, Lagrima, and I'll play the second part of that music, which is in the minor, and I'll first play in proper tempo, and after that I'll show in a rubato. So now I played in proper pulse. Now I like to play that in the rubato. You would have observed that I took my own liberty when I'm moving the notes. So rubato we use for giving the free expressions. We will take our own time and give the extra emotions there. And again I'm telling, this is for the advanced playing. It is not for the beginners actually. And today I tried best to give the simple words and simple terminologies and simple examples to make you understand. I hope this will definitely help you, and thanks for watching this video, and like, share, subscribe this so I can make the more videos like this.